Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're located. Thank you for joining us once again for a buildingSMART virtual summit. I'm just going to share my screen shortly and do apologize for the slightly late start. We do appear to be having some technical issues, which often is the way. So for anyone that doesn't know, my name is Aidan Mercer. I'm the Marketing Director at buildingSMART International. This is actually our fifth edition of the virtual summits. Thank you all for those that have attended, and welcome to anyone new to this setup. Delighted to be sharing lots of content with you over this coming week. But if you are interested in any previous content from the last 4 events, you can actually go on our website, and under events and summits, you'll see all of the content that we've posted in that location. We'll obviously do the same with this event as well. It is a 1-week-long event, and this time we're really featuring rooms, and rooms are the mechanism for developing solutions and standards at buildingSMART. We also have some exciting announcements for you today, and we'll be sharing more projects than ever. I think you'll hear later about the growing number of projects at buildingSMART, which is really fantastic. And once again, thank you for your attention and your participation at this virtual summit. It would go amiss without me mentioning the people that make it happen. Dan Little, our event manager, is doing a fantastic job in coordinating and pulling this all together. We have great support from Claire on the finance side of things, and Susan for the awards program. And then, of course, our room moderators in Sheila Karailam, John Proctor, Laura Tan, and Jeffrey Ulett. So I'm sure many of you will get very familiar with some of these people as we navigate this week full of content. And of course, navigation is important. So once you're inside this hop-in platform, please do go ahead and create your profile. You'll see something like this. You can put your picture on, you can put your personal details like your LinkedIn account or Twitter, and you can start to interact with other people. We tried to make it as interactive as possible, but of course it does depend on whether you start interacting with other people. There is a replay function, so you can watch back a session from yesterday, so you can potentially watch this session tomorrow. And also chat functions within that as well. You can schedule a meeting with somebody else within the platform if you'd like to. Here's how to do that. So within your profile, you can see these different settings. Do encourage you to make use of those. Within the agenda, you'll see the top across the top, the bar for the days. The way to navigate it is to just click on those days, and you'll see. Within that, you'll actually see the running order of the day ahead. You can add that to calendar, and you can add it to your agenda as well. Of course, go through each day. We have an opening day of keynotes today, and then the rest of the 4 days are focused on rooms as well as a closing plenary. So you can also search as well if you're looking just for airport room or building room content. You can search at the top there. We do have quite a lot going on, and do encourage you to use that. Here's a snapshot of what it would look like on day 2. You can add those sessions to your agenda and again to your calendar, again, which I do recommend you do. And we do hope you enjoy. For anyone wondering what the acronyms are, IR is infrastructure room or CR is construction room. So if you see something like that, you can hazard a guess that it's a room focused on a domain. With that, I'd like to thank you again for your attendance. This is actually a screenshot of the last physical event we did. We do hope to be getting back to that, and would like you to sit back and enjoy. We do have a slight technical challenge with Richard Petrie's audio at the moment, so what we're going to do is change the order around until we've fixed his audio. It may be sooner rather than later, but apologies for the slight change in order. We will, however, hear a short video from our chairman, Patrick MacLeamy.
Hello, I'm Patrick MacLeamy, Chairman of buildingSMART International. What a pleasure it is to be given the opportunity to open these virtual summits that we're having. This is our 5th. And you'll see many amazing things in the pieces that are going to follow my opening. I want to talk about just what an amazing group of people we are, all of you, all of us around the world, a group of international friends that are working together to make the world a better place. It's maybe more important now with the turmoil in our world that we see ourselves as friends working selflessly together as friends to accomplish some good purpose. So I share that purpose with you, but I am amazed at the progress we've made. And I hope that you share my amazement and my pride in what we've accomplished working together to improve and remake the world of buildings and infrastructure, not just for ourselves, but for the world and for our children and grandchildren. It's an amazing mission. It's an amazing journey that we're on together. So enjoy this wonderful summit. And I do look forward to a future summit where we can actually be together in person. So we can actually say hello and shake hands. But for now, this will have to do. So thank you very much and enjoy this wonderful summit.
Well, I think it's always good to hear from Patrick, and we'd certainly share his sentiment that getting back together is a priority. So, slight change in the running order. I think we would like to welcome Richard Kelly, the Operations Director of buildingSMART International. Morning, Richard.
Morning, Aidan. Morning, everybody else, or good day, everybody else, depending on where you are in the world.
Fantastic. So you're going to be sharing some progress reports from your programs?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And can I just check, are you seeing on the screen now the slide that says Solutions and Standard Program in full? We
are, yeah. So with that, Richard, I'll hand the stage over to you, and we'll talk to you shortly.
Thank you. Okay, so hello, everybody. As Aidan says, I'm Richard Kelly. I'm not Richard Petrie. He'll be along shortly, and he'll give you a better overview of the entire organisation activities. I'm going to talk to you about the Solutions and Standards Programme mainly, and I'll put it in a way that should give you the context that you would get having already listened to Richard Petrie's presentation. So I aim to give you just a flavour of what's going on in the hope that this tempts you to attend all the sessions that are being taken place or will take place this week, which will cover the topics in more detail. Excuse me. The Solutions and Standards Programme is one of the 3 core standards of buildingSMART International. I like to describe it as the factory. It's where we actually develop new solutions and standards. The buildingSMART International community is committed to enabling life cycle information management for a better built environment or a built asset environment. And this programme is established to be a place where that international community comes together to collaborate. The breadth and the depth of what the community is dealing with is enormous. This diagram represents the entire supply chain, and we have representation in our community from all the players, the clients, the designers, builders, software vendors. We're also covering the entire asset life cycle from the concept stage of a new facility or even a portfolio of activities or portfolio facilities through to their disposal and possibly even reuse. And the scope covers both the vertical and the horizontal structures, the full portfolio of assets, as I say, and the facilities through to the product. The the scale of it, you might say, is huge, and therefore how on earth do we manage? How do we cope with dealing with this entire scope? And the answer is that we compartmentalize, we break it down into smaller pieces in order to manage what we do. So the way that we compartmentalize is we break it down into a further sub-program, where this is already the Solutions and Standards Program, one of the 3 core programs of buildingSMART. And this program has subdomains that we call rooms, and each room is led by a committee of experts from that particular domain. You can see that we now have 9 rooms, and we'll talk more about why that is later. So, excuse me. The rooms create a long-term plan, and they respond to specific use cases from the industry. And here we see a selection of use cases for infrastructure features. These use case requirements are resolved through projects. And there are several projects shown on the screen at the moment that collectively delivered the new IFC 4.3 standard. So this layered approach is clear. We have a strategic level of definition, we have a domain level of definition, and we have a use case level of definition. And the model that we use is well defined for managing the activities within each of these levels. What you'll be able to check in on this week is the responses to these requirements, which are on the left-hand side. There is very good news to report about the next iteration of IFC, called IFC 4.3, which now incorporates many of the infrastructure entities. We're also working on programs to improve both the validation and the software certification services. The railway room is starting a new project to apply IFC 4.3 in real rail build and operate scenarios on their contracts. And we know that the industry wants user guides to assist them in using our open BIM standards on their contracts. And this is something else that we're working on this year. So my colleague Aidan may tell you about an accelerated project service we're developing to this end. And also our yearbook contains many examples of real life projects that have used open BIM and interoperability in their delivery. And these case studies can be very instructive. And the aspiration for all this effort? Well, enabling better whole life management decision making, taking into account the cost, the performance and the risk would be a marvelous thing. Being able to reuse assets at the end of their life to achieve a circular carbon cycle is also highly desirable. And ultimately, this means that we stand a chance of providing sustainable cities and living for the future world population and achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So I hope this illustrates the requirements and response cycle that we've established. These are obviously very big aspirations and wishes, but we have divided them into manageable pieces. This visualization of the requirement and supply cycle is always worth reminding ourselves of. I put it up a lot, I know, I don't apologize for that. The users at the top make the requirements of the solutions and standards program in the bottom left as you're looking at it. And the software vendors produce interoperable software from the standards that are created. And they then sell it back to the industry who use it, making their operations less wasteful. And then what holds all this together in the middle of all this is the BSI process. So the BSI process is the governance engine for incubating, initiating, developing and managing and maintaining standards and services for the built asset industry. Essentially, it enables hundreds of people from different businesses and nations to work together under the buildingSMART umbrella. It allows them to work together effectively and deliver new solutions and standards with pace and quality and rigor. But you might say, you told us that you compartmentalize the organization. Doesn't that create domain specialist rooms and boundaries that put up silos? It's important to recognize that the boundaries of a room are porous. Many initiatives are shared requirements. The new IFC 4.3 standard, as we will see, was a collaboration of projects between the infrastructure and the railway rooms. And here are some more examples of shared aspirations that are manifested through projects. Fire safety is important to the building and the airport rooms, and also important in tunnels, which is an activity that's taking place within the infrastructure room. And of course, the whole BIM and GIS interoperability challenge is important to any room that deals with horizontal assets, and especially those that are trying to interact with horizontal and vertical assets, and so on and so forth. The current portfolio of projects that is being managed through the rooms looks like this. The BSI process progresses projects through initiation, development and approval phases. And you can see how the spread is currently looking. I've also indicated on the bottom right there the projects that were jointly delivering the IFC 4.3 standard. So hopefully that set the scene. So let's review some of the recent achievements, including IFC 4.3, of course, FM Open BIM industry perspectives, occupancy movement analysis, and a regulatory survey. I flashed this image up earlier, but to be more specific, within the infrastructure and railway rooms, there have been a series of projects extending the entities in the IFC schema beyond those required just for buildings. Firstly, IFC alignment was added, and then a project called IFC Bridge added entities for specific bridge types. Multiple use cases have now extended IFC with infrastructure agreements for other aspects, notably road, ports and waterways, railway, tunnel, and still being addressed in an ongoing project. So this has been a phenomenal program of collaboration and leadership over several years. And I can't possibly name check everyone today, but we'll be publishing reports on this achievement and further media expressions of the success that this project and this program actually has delivered. This chart shows the four main work streams of IFC 4.3, and the green ticks indicate what's been achieved recently. The four main work streams are essentially the infra and rail projects, shown in blue, the technical services work that is done through Central buildingSMART Management Office, led by Léon von Berlo, our technical director, software certification, which is ongoing, and the submission to ISO and CEN. So it's important to say that this new IFC 4.3 standard will become a new version of the ISO standard that's already published. All of these activities are interrelated, of course, which is why it was run as a program. And since the last summit, there have been several milestone achievements. We published as a production standard, a buildingSMART International Production Standard last October. The alignment base reference view base MVD was completed, and it's now being used, not least by AASHTO in the United States. The property sets and test instructions are complete and all published on GitHub, which also allows easy review by the community and quality control. The property sets are all input into the buildingSMART data dictionary. All the building elements of the IFC have been re-input. And the submission to ISO has taken place, and the results of the first ballot were very, very good. The next joint working group meeting of ISO, Joint Working Group 12, is on the 6th of April, and we're expecting some responses back from that, which we're geared up to make adjustments if required. So the MVDs that the client organizations require to give them specific access into the data for particular applications, some have already been created, and it's always possible, of course, to create more from the standard if the demand is there. So this standard is going to be highly usable and desired, mainly due to the huge numbers of organizations that delivered it and the consensus it's achieved. So well done to everybody that was involved in the creation of IFC 4.3. The building room's also been busy. It's been leading several achievements. The FM Open BIM projects has produced 5 industry insight papers. These are providing expanded use cases for specific areas, as you see that we have listed here. These will be published shortly, and they're expected to generate interest and input to the creation of future standards. So they'll be available for you to read in short order. And the occupancy movement analysis project, which is dealing with the human reactions to fire or an incident in a facility, it's dealing with the regulatory requirements and the verification methods with design criteria, the smoke and fire simulation, evacuation modeling, and occupancy movement. And it's also developing occupant movement analysis use cases. Now, 3 use cases have now been published on buildingSMART International's new use case management service. So I encourage you to go and take a look at those. And they will be used through the rest of the project to deliver the new standard that will respond to those requirements. So let's focus on some new initiatives. We're going to talk about the Sustainability Energy Management Room, another white paper, this time dealing with how to liberate asset data, an agile railway project, and construction to operation handover, and some intended user guides. Another exciting announcement then is that we have a new room. The Sustainability Energy Management Room is concentrating on enabling an efficient electrical network in buildings. Currently we have just 2 member organisations that are involved, which is Schneider Electric and Siemens, and more organisations will be invited into the steering committee shortly. We will be presenting later this week and holding a panel discussion, so please come along and pose your questions at that. There is already a draft room charter, which is outlining the vision and the mission, and the team will share this with you at that session. We are producing another white paper, which is a thought leadership piece of strategic thinking that's being written with experts from our membership. The intention is that we will be able to describe a clear line of sight from the organizational objectives of a company through to the asset plans, to the operations of actually designing, building, operating and maintaining the assets. We know that's very desirable. We know the information flow forward and backward is needed, but without open digital ways of working, not really achievable. So we published a white paper last year that was aimed at industry executives to make them aware of the possibilities of open digital ways of working. A second white paper following up on last year's publication is now in progress, and we have an enhanced team working on that with us. And this will give us the expression of how this might be achieved. So this is going to fit nicely alongside our intention to provide user guides, as we mentioned earlier, which will help businesses implement open BIM standards into their real contracts. A new road project at Kirjatikoski in Finland is a wonderful example actually of a client applying the open BIM methodology, and we would like to enable others to be able to do the same. So we shared this presentation at our last summit, and I remind you of it now because I was struck by the breadth of influence on this project and the richness of the examples. So to deliver the project, they had to rewire the contractual framework. They rethought the design and the engineering processes. They improved the procurement and supply chain management. They improved the on-site execution of the delivery, and they reskilled the workforce. So these are all aspects that we're going to address in our next white paper. And this presentation and all the others from previous summits are available to view on our website, by the way. We are starting a new project in the railway room. This project will be to enable railway operators and their supply chains to contract to use the new IFC 4.3 standard. Client organizations who require the use of IFC 4.3 when they make the appointments, appointed contractors need to be able to respond satisfactorily to those contracts. Appointed parties need the software solutions that work, and the client organizations need to receive the data in a IFC 4.3 format. So this project focuses on enabling availability in the software solutions. And this is one of those response to requirement activities that I showed at the beginning on the V diagram. Also from the building room, the facilities management handover project is dealing with the handover of equipment information between the capital phase of building into the in-service operational phase. The current standard that exists is huge, and this project is making many improvements, including the modularization of the information to allow access to the appropriate data as required. So it's keeping the best parts of the existing standard, including the interoperability, of course, and then harmonizing it for a more effective usage by the industry. We're now also preparing a brief to allow it to be used in the infrastructure domain. Building domain is where it's currently used. Building domain is where it's currently being improved. We're now allowing it to be used in the infrastructure domain, where it will be described as enabling construction to asset operations handover. So more on that to come. Our projects, by the way, are funded either through work in kind contribution from our membership or through sponsorship, cash sponsorship from our members. We are seeking funding at the moment for fire safety project, the FM handover and asset operations handover, which I just shared with you, a new MVD for steel construction, regulatory information requirements for a project from the regulatory room, an airport entities project from the airport room. So we manage the funds centrally, and we have supplier and client contracts in place for each project, so it's all managed carefully, and the money that comes in for a particular project is ring fenced and only paid out appropriately as milestones are achieved. As you can see, the scale of the funding and how much is required varies depending on the project scope. If there are topics here or anything else that I might have discussed today, or you hear during the week, that are of interest to you or your business and you wish to support them, then please get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to talk you through what the options are and explain, how much money is required in order to deliver some of these activities. Thank you. The fire safety project deals with the impact of fire rather than the human evacuation response to it. So while BIM has become the standard platform for integrated digital design, the lack of fire safety data standards and tools means that data loss occurs frequently between design and review stages. Open standard tools can't be built to connect the BIM workflow. And then following a tragic tower block fire, a report called for the golden thread of information, which this project is responding to. The IFSS Coalition Decade of Action calls for a new framework to support audits, compliance checks and global standards. So there's a well-established project team for this, and we're calling for another €250,000 sponsorship in order to deliver the new standards which will respond to it. So regarding community governance and the BSI process and all things related, I don't intend to describe how the governance of the programme works within the BSI process, as I've covered this many times before at different summits and different events. However, I'm always willing to hold an onboarding meeting for any member that wishes to discuss this further. What I will do is just tell you about a few significant developments. One aspect that is being improved is the description of how to work within a BSI project. The improvement journey at buildingSMART International is not complete, and our route to professionalisation continues. Léon von Berlo has brought in the technical roadmap, and the incorporation of that into the BSI process is ongoing. It's also correct to say that we've collectively learnt from delivering large programmes, especially the IFC 4.3. And here's an important and happy announcement regarding governance to do with the regulatory room. The regulatory room is helping project owners and regulatory authorities benefit from the use of OpenBIM. And we've just completed an election for some new members, and this is the official announcement of who was successful. So congratulations to Rick, Wawan, Paulina, John and Adrian from the Benelux, Singapore, Polish, Australasia and Swiss chapters respectively. And they will be joining the now well-established team of Franco, Tamer, Tommy, Casper, Masaki and Nick. And Nick Nisbet is the chair of that room. It's a busy room, and they're about to publish the results of a recent industry survey. And they also have a live project on regulatory information requirements, which you'll hear more about during the week, and you can contribute to should you wish. So well done, everybody that's just been elected, and I look forward to working with you to deliver new solutions for the regulatory part of our business. The Railway Room Steering Committee is also having a refresh now that the IFC 4.3 standard is, or now that the projects that support that standard are complete. They're going to be mirroring the other rooms and having a steering committee that focuses on mission and roadmap plan for the domain. And they will also be providing thought leadership papers and executive oversight of the delivery activities. The project steering committee, which is indicated on the right-hand side as you're looking at it in red, will continue as the body that oversees the project management office and the delivery of the projects, including the project to apply IFC 4.3 into contracts, as I mentioned earlier. And the Standards Committee has been busy in the last year. Our Standards Committee is made up of representatives from all of our chapters and members. It's the highest level of governance for the programme, and they are consulted on all the activities at every stage of the BSI process. They vote on whether the process is being adequately adhered to, and here is a summary of when they were called upon last year. At the end of this summit, we're going to have a special forum for the Standards Committee. We'll go into some things in more detail, so please feel free to come along on Friday. And finally, your international project coordinators are the industry professionals that are employed by buildingSMART International. So we have Laura Tan, John Proctor, Sheila Karailum, Jeffrey Roulette, and Claire Whitaker. We thank Fei Wang, who was coordinating on the railway room for us, but has now left the organisation. And she did some fantastic work over a 4-year period. These people make sure that the schedules coordinate with the BSI process. They support the contracts with the sponsors and also with the project delivery teams. They schedule meetings and support with documents and updates. And Claire, our finance manager, supports the project teams with the financial management and so on and so forth. And each of these people also have different skills and work within the wider operations beyond just the Solutions and Standards programme. Claire and I also manage the company accounts, and last year's results will be published in the annual report, as they are every year. As you know, we're a not-for-profit organisation, but obviously we still have to grow the business and you know, the support levels and make a small surplus to build up a healthy equity. Your membership is crucial to this resilience, and we need to attract yet more support to keep your community producing this very important suite of work. So that's it from me for now. Be sure to check in, please, on the room sessions during the summit, where you can hear much more about the topics that I've summarised and much, much more. Thank you for listening, and I'll be seeing you throughout the week.
Thanks, Richard. Lots going on. I really like the mix of project work and thought leadership coming out of your programme, actually. It's really nice to see. So congratulations to everyone contributing. I think those industry insights are a nice way of rooms getting really nice content out there.
Yes, very much so.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. With that, we still trying to fix some audio issues. So what we're going to do is now go to Léon van Berlo, who's going to be providing an update on the everything technical, I think. So Léon, good morning.
Good morning.
Very good. So lots to share today for you?
Always lots to share. Yeah, almost too much to cramp into the 20 minutes. So I'll stick to the highlights.
Well, I won't take any more of your time then. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So indeed, a technical update. This is really just highlights because a lot of things happened. And I think you will see a lot already on IFC 4.3. Richard mentioned it, but there's also a special session on this in later this day, I think in the afternoon. It's been a massive project. The highlight I wanted to give was that it is using this new technology platform as well. It was a bit scary, of course, to dive into the unknown, but I think you also the new documentation pages of IFC 4.3, which really got a facelift and look much more fresh and modern, built on a fresh and new technology stack. All of that is also openly available and checkable for everyone. And I think it's this new platform also really helped to improve the quality control and the quality guidance of 4.3. So I think it's definitely one of the highlights that took a lot of resources and massive amount of work. We really need to thank Dion Molt and Thomas Greinen on this as well. They worked literally day and night to facilitate this platform and to make sure that the quality of the integrated offering of 4.3 was it's the best ever, I would almost say. One of the other highlights that I also want to touch on IFC 4.3 is the MVD policy. So as Richard already mentioned, the alignment-based reference view is still in progress. We have an MVD policy in place that has 3 base MVDs. And I think it's good to understand that the IFC 4.3 reference view is backward compatible with the IFC 4 reference view. So that means that in the building domain and for the software tools that are already supporting IFC 4, it's relatively easy to also support 4.3. There's really not too much limiting to support the reference view for IFC 4.3. And the alignment-based reference view is extending the normal reference view. So this one is very specific for the infra and rail domains, still being worked on. There's already a lot of test instructions and scope settings made for this MVD, which is also improving to the quality and the richness of IFC at the point where we send it to ISO. But this is also a very important work that is still ongoing. And then the third one, the design transfer view, currently not scheduled yet, but also one that is very important and again extending the alignment-based reference view. So as you see, there's a stepwise approach in here. And if you remember the technical roadmap published about 2 years ago, there was talks about these 3 conformance levels of IFC, where we had 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star implementations. This current IFC, this MVD policy of IFC 4.3 already slowly moves towards that situation, as you can see. So reference view would be very close to 1-star, alignment-based reference view with more precise positioning is a 2-star, and design transfer view would be a 3-star. So even though IFC 4.3 is based on the framework of IFC 4, I would say it's already moving towards this new guaranteed interoperability framework that we laid out in the technical roadmap as well. So these are not separate developments at the moment. There's also this potential other MVDs, and currently we're working on a policy on how to deal with those in case they're non-compliant with the other 3. This is an ongoing collaboration with SEN and ISO as well. So as most of you know, software certification and software implementation is based on these MVDs, and we're also working on that to see if we can improve. GoBar Consultancy Group has done a voice of the customer analysis, interviewed a lot of different kinds of end users and came up with a first report. And based on that report, we're going to do a gap analysis with the current situation, designing an ideal new situation, and then trying to provide the industry with an integral offering of software certifications, both for IFC, but also for BCF and maybe other standards as well. So that's a brief update on everything IFC related. There will be many follow-up presentations as well on this. So really advise you to look at the agenda of the summit for dive into the details of all of these topics. On non-IFC related updates, this is, I would say, almost the boring part with really step-by-step updates, but very interesting updates as well. So to start with the BSDD ones, this is one of those boring but still extremely interesting updates. The URIs, the unique identifiers of the BSDD, now also serve RDF as data. So this is I know there's a lot of people watching now that are not as technical maybe, but this is a very significant update, and I'm sure the link data community is jumping up off their seats now. So this is a very significant update. I'm very happy to be able to announce this. But also on on the usability of the less technical aspects of BSDD, it's very nice to see that we also have more and more support in tools. We'll have an ACA presentation on how they combine BSDD with other standards later in this morning. I think it's in the next session. But there's also the big vendors are also looking at implementing BSDD support in their tools. So that's, I think, a really good progress as well. The validation service is now ready for beta testing. This has been announced a couple of times already. Currently, we are ready to take some beta testing. So if you're interested to validate your information consistency against the BSDD data, just drop me an email and we can get you some access to this service. This is quite exciting milestone as well for this. And the French chapter is working on a tool called Semantics for BIM, which is one of the editing services for BSDD data. There's multiple editing services being created currently, a lot of commercial tools as well, which is good news. So this is really to maintain your own standards, to be able to input that into the BSDD efficiently. And it's really nice to see that the French chapter is also working on a very professional enterprise stable tool to do this, which hopefully will be available to the community soon as well. BSDD is now also supporting private domains. So if you have data that is not publicly available, but is only available to a certain limited group of users that bought a license, or users that only can use it if they work for your organization, then this is now possible as well. So if you have data that you want to publish but should not be available for everyone, but just for a limited set of users, please also contact us. We can now also facilitate that. And last but not least, for the BSDD, we have a special classification type of material now as well. So next to the classifications, the classes and the properties in BSDD, materials are now also have a special place, which makes it a lot easier for a lot of use cases who want to combine object types, classifications, properties, and materials. So there's a lot of interesting use cases here as well. As you know, BSDD has been developed, the new BSDD has been developed with a lot of end user use cases in mind, strong focus on usability. And for this material, we also made sure that it really works in practice together with a lot of end users. So for the BSDD updates, as you see, maybe a bit of a boring list of topics, but also very exciting topics to be able to share. So that's good news. On the use case management, it's very nice to see that the use case management service now is also linked to our central user management system. So this single sign-on is now available for use case management service as well. As many of you know, maybe you missed it, we have one buildingSMART services user account that you can use to access all of the services. So the BSDD, the BSDD validation, use case management service, translation services, you can all use with your same buildingSMART single sign-on user account. Also nice to see that the use case management service is really finding its place in the community. There's more and more content available in many different languages, so that's really good to see. I think Alar and Thomas are doing an update later on in this session, and they will really do a deep dive into current status, which is very, very, very nice. Also, a bit of a sneak preview. We had a couple of discussions if I should already show this to you or not. So to do management of expectations, this really is an experiment. We're trying to add an additional service on top of use case management service, which is a use case marketplace, where if you are a creator of a use case, you would be able to share it with the community and get a bit of a feedback for it. So hopefully this will incentivize users to create high quality use cases and also share them. This is very experimental, but something that we think that is very valuable for the use case management service on the long term. So if you're interested in this, also please reach out to me or to Thomas or to Alar. We, as with the BSD, we would really like to develop this together with the community, really based on a use case and trying to bring added value. The integration with the BSD and IDS is ongoing for the use case management service. Also, this is where Thomas and Alar would dive into in detail. It's very important. So this is still a lot higher on the to-do list and the priority list than the marketplace experiment. And this is also where things will really be brought together. Integration between IFC, BSD, IDS, and UCM is highly valuable as well. So those were the updates on use case management service, and I think Thomas will also dive into more details after this session. On other topics, I think it's interesting to put some attention to a new academic paper written by Arthur Tromsdijk, a student from Norwegian University of Science and Technology. This is a pretty neutral, very detailed, high-quality overview of all of the different ways to define information requirements. So there's a lot of questions in the community on what's the difference between MVD XML, IDM XML, LOIN, IDS, PDTs, and this is a very nice overview. I can already provide you the conclusion that all of these technologies have a right of existence. They have their own focus. They have their own use cases. And this paper really tries to explain that, gives a really nice overview, and also gives you guidelines on, based on what kind of use case, what kind of situation you're in, which of these technologies would be the best fit for your purpose. So I'm not sure if this is publicly available yet, but for those of you who were paying attention, this is Arthur's email address, so feel free to reach out to him. In case you are interested in academic papers, so I want to bring your attention to the IFC5 academic paper as well, published last October. Really gives a nice overview of the direction that IFC5 is taking in the next couple of years. So, as you know, the technical roadmap is starting its third year now. In the first 2 years, we have been trying to integrate a lot of the different elements, develop and integrate a lot of the different elements. And the third year, there's still a lot of development and integration to be done, but we're also trying to move to get closer to the end users. And normally at this point, I would have said, Richard Petrie already mentioned this, but I guess in this situation, I would say Richard Petrie would dive into more details on this. We really want to be just like the use case management service and the BSD, closer to the end users, develop workflows together with them, really fine-tune the standards and solutions to be a better fit for purpose. So you would see this in the next phase of the rail and infra projects for IFC. You would see it in BSD. You would see it in the standards and solutions programs. On all levels, we're trying to get closer to end users. And one of the things we're trying to do there as well is to really define these typical workflows and user guides, and try to get into the market with accelerated projects. Also make sure that the standard solutions and the technical services get accelerated and are available for the industry in a much faster and easier way. So that's definitely on the agenda for the coming year. We're also getting more help on that. So we're getting a new employee starting May 1st. I think actually the delivery man bringing his new laptop just rang the doorbell during this presentation. So we're really eager to get this up to speed as well, and to make sure that all of these nice under the hood technologies will be available to you as soon as possible. So that was my update. There's absolutely more to come, and I really hope to do this presentation live to you again in Montreal. Hopefully we can get together in person again. Thank you.
Thank you, Léon. Lots going on as always, exciting times, and I think we'll be welcoming you back a little later on today to talk about bringing Open BIM workflows to life. Yep,
looking forward to it.
Great. Well, we've sort of overcome the technical challenges. We've managed to record Richard's keynote, and we're just uploading it to the server. So I think before we bring Richard's keynote back via the recording, I'll provide my marketing update before we do that. So let me get my presentation ready, which of course is now not ready. Apologies for that, just multitasking here. I'll get my update. So let me share my screen. Hopefully you can all now see this. Yeah, so really here to share some exciting things. We sort of talk about accelerating our community, and we do this through lots of communication channels as well. I'm pleased to share some of this with you today. I do have two guests with me today helping me out, so I would like to say thank you to Nathan from Oracle and Susan from buildingSMART Canada and our awards program. And we'll be hearing from them shortly about some of the interesting things that we've been doing in the marketing function. So yeah, thank you to both of those for being part of my presentation today. I did want to sort of highlight how important membership is to buildingSMART, and also, reflect on what a major force some of these organizations are that really believe in the work that we're doing. So, our Strategic Advisory Council in itself is comprising some, very well-known organizations that really support and direct the community in the way that we request, really. So this is our top-level membership, and these organizations give us strategic direction in the way that buildingSMART should move forward. And you'll know that recently Schneider Electric joined, and we'll be hearing a bit later on from them about some of the activities working with organizations like Siemens. We'll be hearing from Oracle, Trimble later on as well today, and really exciting that these organizations are so well vested. So once again, thank you to them for their commitment. We have also a well-known set of organizations in our multinational category. Recently joined Akka Software, upgraded to multinational this year. Bosch, Refine My Site, also joined, and Think Project as well. So, fantastic to see this list growing. We did only have one member last year join, so, we clearly appreciate that additional support. And then recently some new organizations joining. Georg Fischer, product manufacturer, our first product manufacturer, joined from January, so that's really exciting. IES also joined, a technology company. MTR from the Hong Kong Metro, and I believe that was the list. So great to have these organizations on board, and once again, thank you to all these organizations for their continued support. If you are interested in joining, we do think this is a really exciting time. We do feel that organizations that do get involved are strategic in the way they think about things. They are vested in the core missions and see the long-term vision that we have as well. So these organizations, we do feel, share that same vision. We do think being part of buildingSMART is a way, as mentioned, that you can control your digital destiny by setting the standards and services that we do. So you heard from Kelly's keynote that it takes a lot of organizations to commit to being part of steering committees, to projects and funding, but they're all developing strategies to control that future for themselves. I also think it helps to develop a more sustainable future. We look at Léon's roadmap is a way of making the technical requirements sustainable, open and reliable, and having that opportunity is really thanks to our membership. Help to create new and existing standards, and working and aligning with an industry body like us really does help accelerate your business. I've got something to share a bit later about how to accelerate your business with buildingSMART, but if you are interested, please do reach out, and we'd be delighted. This is an ever-growing list of chapters that we have. We very pleased to welcome Croatia as our latest chapter, and I believe as of today we were notified that Morocco will become a chapter in formation So again, really fantastic. We've got a lot of other chapters, potential chapters, that will be hopefully joining shortly, and we tend to bring those forward at our International Council, which will be held in June at the Siemens offices in Zug in Switzerland, where we hope to encourage more very suitable chapter opportunities to become chapters. We do also have 2 chapters upgraded from to full chapter status, Spain and Italy, so congratulations to those. They do get more voting rights within the community, and really goes to show the maturity of those organizations and the leadership that they have at those 2 chapters to go into full chapter status, which is fantastic. I always like to share this partnership slide. We do have a section on partnerships later. We'll be hearing from EFCA, and there we do hope to formalize that partnership to something more concrete, but really nice that this partnerships continue to grow. And not only that, we continue to strengthen the relationships. You saw that we're sending the 4.3 to ISO, so it's important that we have that liaison and alignment with them. But also on the left-hand side, we have other fantastic organizations and industry bodies that we collaborate on. GS1, OGC, ETIM, UIC, WGIC, ODA you'll be hearing a bit later from, and the Digital Twin Consortium, as well as the ICMS. So all of these provide working opportunities for us to develop services and standards. And of course, we talk about our sponsors. Richard shared that slide about where we are with sponsors, but really it does require these organizations to actually weigh in and do that. So it really does require a thank you and acknowledgement that these organizations are sponsoring certain things. So thank you all very much again. And it's an ongoing sponsorship request for us, as you know, because we need to do that to make the work happen. Quite a lot of milestone achievements within 2021, I suppose. Another very transitional year. We're almost 2 years in now, as I mentioned earlier, the 5th virtual summit, but I think we've done well in putting everything into a virtual environment for people to continue working. Certainly hasn't slowed up the opportunity to deliver major standards like 4.3 in the rail example. Yet we've seen more IFC mandates throughout the last year than ever before. I think what this has made us realize at buildingSMART is that we need to support the growing uptake of IFC and open BIM in the community, as Richard also mentioned earlier, with supporting our user program with flowcharts and user guides and things like that. We've seen real drivers in productivity and sustainability. I think sustainability and resiliency is increasingly important. Again, that kind of goes back to our core mission of why we're here and what we're doing. And more progress, as you've just seen from Léon, on the technical roadmap and future-proofing that thing. So you'll hear a little later from Richard Petrie on the IP management as well, some progress there. And as you saw as well, and I'll share shortly, some more thought leadership from our community, which I think is equally as important, because I think we have to try to trailblaze the community in lots of ways and show the way forward with these complex topics. More support services, as you've seen. We'll be hearing from Thomas from the use case management a little later. You heard from the BSDD, and we'll be hearing from Mark Baldwin as well. So lots of progress continuously. We really enjoy these updates because we see the progress every 6 months to a year, and it's really great. I mentioned with 2 potential new chapters and 2 full chapters in Spain and Italy, and continues as mentioned that. So I'll also be talking a little bit more about the growth in the user program and our plans there. But before I do, I just wanted to highlight just some of the thought leadership things that we've done. And Richard talked about this industry insights, but we've been delivering white papers, surveys. We did one for JCC in China, which was delivered in January. And as well, we'll be very, very soon, we'll be launching one with Oracle. And this survey was about understanding the role of BIM in CDEs and today's expectations for the future. Thank you to some of you that may have answered that question. We did put this out to our community. And I'm actually going to hand over now to Nathan, who's going to share some of the findings from this report. So I think, Dan, you'll be able to put Nathan's video on.
Thank you, Aidan. I'm proud to be representing Oracle Construction and Engineering, a strategic member of buildingSMART International, and to be participating in this year's summit. I'm really excited to share a short overview from the industry survey that we recently partnered on, understanding the role of BIM and CDEs today and expectations for the future. This survey demonstrates how organizations are approaching the information management capabilities of common data environments and the trends and aspirations of BIM in their projects. So if we talk a little bit about the survey demographics, we had well over 250 responses from around the globe. You can see a large concentration in North America and Europe, as might be expected, but truly global responses in this survey data. In terms of the companies and project life cycles that were represented, as you might expect, a lot of companies in the architecture and design area, general contractors, consultants, but some good representation on the owner side as well. So owners, clients, facility managers, property managers also represented in the data. And in terms of the asset life cycle stages, certainly design, right, and build and commissioning at the front end, but quite a bit of usage as well into the latter stages of the asset life cycle as well, including handover, operations and maintenance, and even decommissioning and demolition are seeing much more use of BIM recently. In terms of the projects that the BIM is being used on, a pretty equal split in terms of projects within the public and private sector. And one of the things that really excited me a lot here is that nearly half of the responses, or half of the companies that were represented, are using BIM on at least 75% of their projects. So some pretty deep and broad adoption of BIM across these various project types. So why BIM, right? What's really driving this? And I think people are pretty aware of the ability to quickly capture and resolve quality issues, eliminate clashes, right? So improving design quality, facilitating collaboration on projects, improved understanding and visibility of designs, and performing design reviews. You know, those are some of the really common things that we see. But one of the things that's really starting to emerge, and one of the things that the data showed us, is that more and more government and client mandates are requiring the use of BIM. So in order for companies to participate on these projects, right, they're needing to implement BIM and really drive BIM workflows. In terms of BIM file formats that we're seeing out there, quite a few. So high adoption of Open BIM. We're seeing lots of IFC is the most common file format. BCF is up there. PDF, of course, 2D continues to be popular. DWG and Revit files continue to be popular. But what this really illustrates is that while there's been more adoption of these Open BIM standards and formats, it's still a very complex environment for companies to navigate. How is BIM helping? Well, better decision-making. That's long been one of the hallmarks of BIM, improving quality, right? Improving collaboration. One of the things that was maybe a little bit disappointing in the survey results is that using BIM for simulations was only called out by 29% of the respondents. How are companies sharing BIM data? Well, some of the more antiquated approaches around, paper and FTP are really falling off. Email continues to be used, but it's exciting to see the growth of cloud platforms. So whether it be relatively simple cloud sharing systems like Dropbox or Google Drive, but CDEs and collaboration platforms have now emerged as the top option, with 77% of companies responding that that's how they're sharing information. Now, what about the future of BIM? Right? Certainly reduction of errors and improved quality is going to continue to be where companies are focused with their BIM, but it's really exciting to see that they're projecting the use of a real increase in BIM around digital twins, automation, and sustainability. Sustainability initiatives are obviously growing strong within the industry. Many governments and countries and other regions, implementing net zero initiatives and other strict rules coming down the line. So exciting to see sustainability continuing to emerge. So in conclusion, the full survey results are going to provide a lot more detail around the roles and the firms that are using BIM, what processes have been optimized for BIM, and how their use of software has evolved over the last several years. But to summarize the most interesting insights that we've kind of taken away is that BIM is really continuing to expand from design and build into the downstream phases of the project lifecycle, such as handover, O&M, and again, even decommissioning and reuse. The growth of cloud infrastructure and its roles in digital transformation is well reflected in the survey here, with 53% of the respondents citing an increase in cloud software usage is really their biggest change over the last couple of years. And there's also a high number that are planning to move to cloud platforms in the near future if they haven't already. We can see this is aligned with the maybe higher than expected response of companies that are leveraging CDEs to share their files, and the rise and adoption of OpenBIM workflows with IFC and BCF file formats. So we really look forward to repeating this survey in the future to monitor BIM usage in the industry and look at any new or additional trends. If you're interested in reading the full survey, you can download the results from the Virtual Summit platform, and it will also be posted on the Oracle and BSI website soon. So thank you everyone for your time. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Aidan.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, we're going to make that report available on the platform for people to download, and of course, it will be available on the on our website as well as Oracle. So, thanks again for working with us on that, Oracle, and learning more about it. I think, you know, as Nathan mentioned, really nice that we see an uptake in OpenBIM requirements, and yeah, further support needed for the user program. Well. Also got some exciting announcement that the buildingSMART Awards program for 2022 is open. So I'm not going to talk about that so much because I think we'd rather hear from Susan. So second part is Susan, over to you.
Hi, my name is Susan Keenley-Side, and I'm here with the buildingSMART Awards program. I'm very pleased to announce the launch of the 2022 season. The awards platform is now open to start a submission. You can go to buildingsmart.org to the awards webpage, and you'll find all the information you need. We have all the categories listed, some frequently asked questions, and a submission guide. We use a platform to collect the submissions, and you'll find instructions there. We have a brand new category this year that we're pleased to announce, reflecting worldwide adoption of sustainable practices and outcomes for a more resilient future. So this year's awards will honor sustainable outcomes achieved through the use of OpenBIM methodologies. This new category is open to all domains and industry professionals that demonstrate innovation applied to better social, environmental, and economic outcomes. This can include circular economy, low carbon strategies, energy management, renewables, sustainable materials, and any other green practices. But don't delay. The submission deadline is May 24th, but there's a lot of work involved to make a submission. We want to see excellence in OpenBIM. Review the criteria, make sure you have the right category. If you have any questions, reach out to us. And we look forward to continuing to grow this community and show off the great work that's happening. So if you think you have an award-worthy piece of work, or your colleagues, or those in your chapter, please reach out and encourage those to enter this year for an award. Again, go to the website on the awards page. The deadline is May 24th. Don't delay. Review the criteria, ask us any questions, and we look forward to seeing the best and the brightest of OpenBIM in 2022. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan. Yeah. Don't delay. Our awards program is open, and I think although it's a lot of work, it's certainly worth it in the end. And the fruits of the labour are now available on our OpenBIM Awards yearbook for 2021, last year's award. So we've put the finalists and winners in the brochure for the moment. We'll continue to add to that, but yeah, it's now available on our publications.buildingsmart.org site. So please do check it out. There's also on that site is case studies, so you can learn more about in detail some of the projects that have happened in the past, and if it helps you convince yourself to submit for this year that you'll get yourself a nice glossy case study as a result, then hopefully that's additional. But again, we're always amazed at the use of OpenBIM within these projects, obviously. So yeah, please take a look on publications.buildingsmart.org and you'll see the digital brochures there. We also like to announce that we'll be hosting our first user conference on the 28th and 29th of April. Agendas will be published soon. This really is focused on, as it sounds, users. So we'll be providing sessions on how to use various software with IFC. So we'll have sessions on Revit, ArchiCAD, and Bexel and akka, how to best use those in an open BIM context. We've got a session on BIM and GIS. We'll be hearing for some of those awards, award winners and finalists from 2021. Got some more on the tech services updates, open source, and how to use 4.3 in practice. We'll also share a quick sneak peek of a knowledge-based site that we're developing, which is where we'll be creating things like user guides and publishing them on this site. It's very much a community sourcing tool. We'll hopefully be launching that at the user conference itself. Finally, we have one final offering at buildingSMART. We've quite often had requests for this, and we're now sort of sharing this concept of accelerated projects. And this is a way of accelerating your business and helping to plug some of those gaps that we have within the community on the aforementioned things like user guides and technical workflows. So this scenario that we put together in order to describe how to get involved with an accelerated project is we've sort of targeted this initially at an engineering firm, but it's for anyone within the community and for any concept that you have or any gap that we need filling. So this one example is that we might be a construction firm or an engineering organization that's just won a project, well-established company, has delivered many projects before, and is a well-known brand. The client, though, is mandating IFC and open standards, and we want this to be an open BIM project, and we want to be able to control our digital destiny for the future of this project itself. A construction firm is not set up to support that for the moment, and as a result, go back to their organization and suggest that they need to upskill and set out a strategy for success with open BIM. As a result, this will position them as a principal open BIM expert and be great for their business for the future as they see more of these requests coming in. So they come to buildingSMART. We work together collaboratively on this and set out a data management framework, which would be something similar to an ISO 19650 sort of framework to develop this. We would then help them set out their IFC operating procedure, which would include defining information requirements, potentially from the client. So getting those information requirements from the client, establishing their data definitions and utilizing something like the buildingSMART data dictionary, how to work with IFC, so developing user guides and flowcharts and supporting documentation for that, and how to deliver the exchange requirements, information requirements that are needed on the project. We would then be able to support them with training and certification, and as a result, this organization, as part of this accelerated project, as working with buildingSMART, would be open BIM ready. So all these components are available, and we would develop that with this organization to support this open BIM project. The output of this would be a data management framework developed with buildingSMART, defined exchange requirements and business KPIs within this engineering company. Together with this organization, we'll have developed user guides and how to best use these open BIM services, develop tutorials, and would, as a result, develop this open BIM methodology with more upskilling and training and certification. So this opportunity to anyone within the community to work with buildingSMART is to ensure this better level of interoperability and support the growing demand within the industry to upskill, develop frameworks and knowledge, and deliver with expertise. So if you're interested, please do reach out to us. We're looking to develop this program and support the community because we see it's growing very, very quickly, and we'd be happy to discuss the options with these organizations moving forward. So with that, obviously finish on this slide, which is our best link for various different communication channels we have. I'd like to thank Nathan and Susan for helping with my presentation today and providing some exciting news. And with that, I'm concluding my presentation. I'd like to thank you for your attention. I also am being told that we now have Richard Petrie's presentation available. So with that, I'm ready to hand over to Richard finally. Sorry for the reorder here, but I believe we'll now be able to upload Richard's presentation.
Good morning and welcome everybody. The headline for my presentation today is Closing the Gap, Getting Closer to Users. And that in turn really represents the fact that we are passing a very significant milestone with the publication of IFC 4.3 to ISO. And that means the shift in our work from a lot of the standards development work to standards implementation. And it's a very exciting milestone for me. First of all, welcome to our 5th International Virtual Summit. It's a week-long event with a mixture of working sessions, keynotes and announcements. It's a time for celebration, as I hope you'll realise, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting everybody in person in October. Gosh, certainly I'm sure we are all looking forward to that after all these events. We have 1 day of plenary and then 3 days of room events, 4 days of room events and a closing plenary. We hope there are networking opportunities through the platform and we plan to have hybrid events moving forward. So I think that will help extend our reach and the level of engagement that we have across our community. Please join us in Montreal. Montreal is the first summit after 3 years. The dates are the 18th to the 21st of October, and it's going to be at the Montreal Centre in Montreal, Canada. In spring 2023, we plan to be live in person in Italy, in Rome, 27th to the 30th of March. So 2 dates for your calendar, and I'm sure there'll be exciting opportunities for us all. I'm just going to move myself about a bit here. Announcements I'd like to make. I'll be talking later about new members. I'll be giving some chapter updates. In-person summits announced. I've already done that. The award program goes live officially today, and there is a new brochure for the awards program with last year's winners now available. We're holding for the first time this year a new user conference. This is a different format from our summits. It's really about engaging users and much more focus on how to use IFC than on the development of the standards themselves. Before we get into all of that, I wanted really to recap the key industry drivers. First of all, data flexibility, which I think is a supreme requirement as actually the digital age grows and matures. The abilities of owners and users to port their data around as they need to control its quality and to have governance over it are key requirements. The other key drivers that we're seeing are the demand for productivity improvements and sustainability with climate change, all of which are heavily impacted by open digital ways of working. To give you some feel for the recognition of open BIM approaches, this is the map that we use, and you'll see that it continues to grow with new initiatives being updated and reinvigorated in countries all around the world as we go forward. So clearly a lot of strong client/government demand for open digital ways of working. I want to talk a little bit more about data flexibility, the ability to manage your data throughout the life cycle of a built asset with confidence that you can retain data access to the data, be assured of its quality, and that the governance independent of third parties. To do this, you're going to need open neutral data standards and some critical enabling digital web services. It's why we encourage all and every member or participant to gain control of your digital destiny by working with open data standards, enabled by open BIM, and conceived and supported by buildingSMART. So these are really the reasons why you need to engage in our agenda in making open standards and open solutions, and why you should join buildingSMART in the end, in the long run, to safeguard the viability of these open digital ways of working. Turning briefly to our priorities for 2022. First of all, delivery, to focus on really making sure the IFC 4.3 gets successfully through the ISO processes, make sure we finish the work we've started, and take the steps that I think we foresaw in the digital transition in the digital roadmap. Extending our reach with new chapters and to users directly, and focusing on our compliance program and quality assurance, expanding our range of services and the depth of those. So that's our focus for today. Coming back to this important milestone, the IFC 4.3 is now delivered to ISO, a culmination of 10 years work with multiple stakeholders, and extending the range of domains covered by IFC. The future software certification support is being developed, and the user uptake is where we are now focusing. I can't really emphasize how important this milestone is. It represents the point at which the IFC 4.3 is finally done. It is delivered to ISO. Obviously other work is ongoing, and there will be a 4.4, but it's very important for the industry to have confidence that this is a firm line in the sand, and this is the benchmark that we will be supporting, developing, and helping to implement. I very much want to thank a lot of the stakeholders who helped us get this far. So here are the rail stakeholders, a lot of the owner-operators from Europe and from China, and they are really to be commended for their foresight and investment in the work. Similarly, on the other domains of bridges, roads, ports, and waterways, there's been a very strong portfolio of stakeholders who have continued to support us. In terms of the domains covered in 4.3, we've talked a lot about infrastructure. It's important to recognize that buildings is also updated in 4.3 with a lot of the corrections and maintenance issues addressed that would otherwise have been probably were not addressed so far. So a much better buildings domain, I believe, than you heard before as well. And geotechnics, insofar as it's needed for the scope of the alignment work and the bridges, but a lot more geotechnical work coming with tunnels in 4.4. So 4.3 is done, and with ISO, it is available in multiple formats, multiple serializations. There are 3 standard MVNEs to follow, which will support software implementation consistency across the different domains. This is a very important point. We need to have this consistency to enable vendors to be able to use or share the files in a consistent way. Without that, it becomes too difficult an implementation problem. So these 3 MVDs will be very important. There is an important consistency point here to facilitate strong and rapid uptake, and please wait for those. This work will also be the center of our software certification. And as I've said, the software certificate, the tunneling domain will come later. Touching briefly now on the technical roadmap, future-proofing our technologies. This was published in April 2020, so nearly 2 years ago. One of the key themes here was to modernize the technical infrastructure and the way in which we work together and share the schema itself. So for me, it is an equally big milestone today that this 4.3 is published on GitHub and UML platforms, modern, transparent, verifiable, self-checking, linked to translation capabilities, and it enables a much broader engagement from the community. We've already seen the benefit of this in the quality of the work that we've been able to put forward to ISO, and it is a major milestone to be recognised in its own right. Software certification is a vital part of our ecosystem. Many stakeholders have a keen interest, and they've been giving us a lot of feedback recently. This is we're in the process of listening to that feedback, designing it, hearing it, and assessing the proper needs, and really working out the right solution. What I am sure about is whatever solution comes forward is that there will be a need for investment and a business model to support this. So this is really a call or a marker to say that we will need to come out to the community to ask for funds to help develop software certification once we have finalized our concept of what is actually needed and proposals to support it. Turning then to connecting with users. This is our summary of the buildingSMART community. And I think with the publication of the 4.3 standard to ISO, users come then into focus. And for that, it's really about how do we bring these standards to life? How do we bring OpenBIM digital workflows to life? And first of all, let's start with a simple proposition of industry. Well, a key industry need is to digitally specify your exchange requirements. First step is to determine your OpenBIM exchange requirements. For that, you'll need to use the IDM methodologies or business process mapping processes. And then you'll need to source or develop use case definitions from a use case management service, perhaps. Step 2, we'll digitally select the exchange requirements. To do that, you'll need to use a tool that's enabled by the IDS standard. And you'll need to digitally access the IRC classifications and extended semantics in the BSDD. In order to ensure interoperable data exchange requirements definitions, you need to first of all specify IFC as the core interoperability standard, and then access IFC again through the BSDD. If you work through this step-by-step guide, you get the output, which was an interoperable digital exchange to client requirements. Our plan is to develop a series of guides like this and at the next technical level of detail so that we can really help users understand their requirements for the next stage. We'll be launching a concept of accelerated projects to fast track the setup for individual projects where there are clients or companies that have interest in really getting up to speed with how to use IRC quickly and rapidly. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us. So just now then to move on to the chapter community, I'm delighted to announce Croatia as a new chapter. They've been working to join for some time, so it's delightful to see them reaching that level of maturity. Welcome aboard, Croatia. And that brings the sort of a full set of the chapter community to this proud and fantastic panoply of countries and territories. Just another few points to note around chapters. First of all, Italy and Spain have become full chapters this year, and that Morocco and Romania are working to become chapters in formation. We expect that to be that status to be awarded very shortly, certainly before the summit in the International Council meeting in June. And activities in Russia have been suspended in view of the appalling situation in the Ukraine. New members in 2022, ACCA Software have upgraded to be a multinational member. Thank you, ACCA. Bosch Refinery Site are also multinational members. IES, MTR from Hong Kong, and the Think Project have all joined as members. So thank you very much. It's always very pleasing to see a steady flow of new members. And anybody else listening, please don't hesitate to join up. Our leadership is only limited by our ability to gain support from companies in terms of membership. Thank you. And just to summarize then some of the virtual summit statistics, we had nearly 800 registrations for the autumn summit, 140 speakers, 61 countries, and you can see there 76 hours plus of recorded content. And the top countries listening are Japan, China, Germany, the UK, and Australia. Coming back to some of the things I mentioned earlier, the awards program is open, and there's a brand new brochure with last year's winners and runners-up and everything, and that's available now. You'll find that there are, showcasing, looking at the awards that are showcasing the use of OpenVIM and the projects that did well last year. Please also look to our annual report to understand exactly what we're doing. Obviously, we're in the process of preparing and writing the annual report for last year at the moment, and that should be available by the middle of the year. And then one of the other points you will have noticed that we've been implemented at the end of the last year a new intellectual property statement. And those eagle-eyed of you will see that that's now implemented in our website publication portals. We've gone for a Creative Commons license, and key features of that are that it requires attribution, so we expect to be attributed when IFC is used. Derivatives are not permitted, and that's a very, very important thing. It's not that we don't want to stop the development of IFC, but we do need it to be done consistently, so it has to come through our processes. If we allow multiple fragmented derivatives, then that completely undermines the whole community, because you get lots of implementations that aren't interoperable because they've been changed. So it's really key that there are no derivatives of the core parts of the IFC schema, and that's why that's in place. And we allow both non-commercial and commercial use and to encourage use and uptake. So getting closer to users. The clients, didn't join or support buildingSMART just to create the standard. They do want to actually use our standards and they get value from our work. So that means the milestones this year, we're now publishing IFC, which covers these huge set of extended domains. We've got much closer relationships with vendors, and the implementations are much stronger from the work done in the last year between the projects and with the vendor teams. And the technical services have been enabled to facilitate easier access and a broader engagement of our community. This in turn means that we can turn our attention now to helping support projects and users work out how to work with open standards. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Richard. Sorry for the reorder there, but I'm glad that we were able to deliver Richard's messages in the way we did. So I think up next we have Mark Baldwin, who's going to be talking about the professional certification program. Hopefully, Mark, you're there and available. Hi, Mark.
Yes, hi, Aidan. It's great to be here, joining virtually from Switzerland.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And I think we're a couple of minutes behind. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, and I hope to gain a few minutes here. I'm going to give quite a short update on professional certification. It's been a huge year. The last 12 months, we've had really a huge amount of development in 3 sort of areas, focusing on our sort of marketing and communication, the outreach to chapters, so supporting chapters to develop the program, and also a lot of sort of content and technical development. So what I'm going to present today is actually, because we've got quite a large audience, I'm going to give an overview once again of the program, and then I'm going to feed in some of these updates and new developments. Just as an opener, so we have, as I mentioned, a lot of activities happening. One important activity has been the marketing and communication, and we have a number of videos that are going to be finalized in the coming weeks. These are, on the one hand, videos for the general public, introducing the program and explaining the details, and I'll have some takeouts from that video here in my presentation. And we have then also a number of videos, sort of internal videos, supporting our community to implement the program, so focused on chapter support. I want to start with a little bit of the business case. Why are we here? And this is sort of, I guess, reaching back onto what Richard just spoke about in terms of making standards alive, really, and ensuring that they're correctly implemented. So at the core of our activities are, of course, the standards here. And there is an area of interpretation and application. So a standard exists, but how do we use that? How is it understood? That is not something that's always strongly controlled. So certification is really a mechanism to ensure that standards are used, they're interpreted, and they're applied correctly. And in that way, we are promoting best practice, raising competency levels, and driving the industry forward. And that is really the function of the professional certification program, is to support the competency assurance and certification of the standards. So we've set a goal to create a sort of a global benchmark of open BIM training and competency, supporting skills across the industry. And if we look at where we are now, we have around 25 countries involved in the program through our chapter network, and they're engaged at different levels. Some are just starting out, some have been involved for a number of years, and we're expecting this number, of course, to grow, and the activity within those chapters to grow. So that's really exciting. We have, the way the program is structured is that we have it's basically developed and run by buildingSMART International. All the content and the strategy for the professional certification is managed at buildingSMART International. And then we have the chapter organizations that are, in effect, the agents for the program at their local level. And chapters engage with their local communities. They register training providers, and they qualify and certify individuals. So it's really working through the chapter network, and the chapter network working through their community network. Currently, we have around 120 registered training providers worldwide. There are some big names here. We have, interestingly, we have really right across the spectrum. We have construction companies and engineering companies that may have internal academies. We have a lot of universities and technical schools that are signed up and delivering courses aligned with professional certification, and of course vocational training organizations and software houses. We're getting close to around 10,000 qualified individuals at the foundation level, and the buildingSMART professional certification certificate is really becoming a certificate of quality. Very important is that the program is standardized and standards-based. So standardized in terms of we're developing, we have quite a strict guideline of how learning content is developed, and we have a exam infrastructure that I'll show a little later on, that's available for all the chapters, that has multiple languages and we're supporting both face-to-face and online trainings. When I talk about standards-based, of course, we are referencing the most important standards and solutions from buildingSMART, but also other standards. The ISO 19650 series is most notably involved very strongly at the foundation level across a number of the curricula that we're developing, and many other standards as well. And that creates, of course, international applicability. From an international perspective, I talked about the chapters that are involved, and the content has been developed through the chapter network now in 10 languages. And the exam platform is also, as you can see here, I'll show the link for the exam platform. Anyone can click onto that and do a small demo exam in one of these 10 languages. So I'll come now a little bit to the content that was sort of describing the purpose and the current status of the program. Let's dive a little deeper. For those that are not familiar with it, it's a two-tiered approach. So we start with a foundation level that is really the basis for certification. So that's not certification in itself. That's the sort of the first phase that's been developed and has been running for a number of years, and that's focused on knowledge-based learning. So we're talking about people's ability to understand and remember important concepts and terms around BIM. This is, as I said, the basis for the broader certification program, which we term practitioner. So foundation is the first phase. Practitioner includes the whole range of learning, including applying, analyze, evaluate, and create. And that's really looking at people's ability to apply this knowledge in a project environment. We're talking about practical expertise. I will now talk briefly about the foundation level, and then at the end, there's a couple of slides about the practitioner level. So the foundation level follows a standardized content. As I said, we have a number of products, or what we call curricula, that are available for training institutes. It starts with learning outcomes. So this is the basic learning outcomes that are freely available on the website. You can download that and have a look. 28 learning outcomes. This is supported by a body of knowledge that references the sources where these learning outcomes are defined. This body of knowledge is not a publicly available document. It's for training providers for them to build their course. This is all made available to the training providers, as well as the examination platform, this online platform, as I said, available in 10 languages. And once the students have attended a registered course, they can sit the online exam and get the buildingSMART certificate. We've had well over 100 industry experts involved in the development work at an international level, and many, many more at the chapter level. So really hundreds of industry experts have been involved in this, and we're very grateful for that support. Briefly, the link for the qualification platform, these slides will be made available. And as I said, anyone can go onto this link, qualification.buildingsmart.org, and you're welcome to do the short demo test. So looking at the structure of professional certification, we have these two tiers. So the basis is the foundation level, and then that builds on to the practitioner level. And foundation starts with the basic curricula. And this is sort of a general introduction to Open BIM standards, to a basis of ISO 19650, benefits of BIM within an organization, and so forth. What we consider to be sort of the start point. And from this basic curricula, we have a number of different curricula that have been developed and are in development. For example, there's a curricula for COBE at the foundation level, and we're just finalizing a number of other curricula around building performance, focusing on owner or appointing party, and contracted designer, focusing on the appointed parties. And there'll be more curricula that'll be developed. At this foundation level, just so you have a bit of an understanding of what we're talking about, it's really just looking at sort of short courses, so 2 to 3 4-day courses, where really the basic knowledge-based information is conveyed, and then a 30-minute exam to complete that. The focus, of course, is the practitioner level. We have, since for about a year, we've had the first product here available, COBE Certified Professional, which is operational, and there are a number of other elements that are going to be produced. The concept here is really, as I said, about practical expertise. And what buildingSMART is not doing is not defining roles. We're creating a mechanism where profiles can be defined by individual users. For example, maybe a company in China is looking to define a project management role for a particular project, and they will draw on specific tasks, or more specifically, use cases and tasks that define skills and knowledge sets that have to be that are required to fulfill this profile. So buildingSMART is creating a database of tasks and skills and knowledge, and these can be combined in different constellation for specific profiles. So this is the practitioner level, and I'm going to speak briefly about the first rollout of the practitioner level in just a moment. To get an idea of cost for those who are not familiar with it, so the training fees are set by the individual training providers. The exam at the basic level costs between 75 and 125 euro. There's a small range there depending on the different countries. And the COBE Certified Professional exam is 500 euro for buildingSMART members and 750 euro for non-members. So now focusing a little more at the practitioner. So we have the COBE Certified Professional, and being developed in Austria, and now together with Germany, we have two new roles, the BIM coordination and BIM management. These are being finalized, and this will be part of our whole practitioner set. So this is a first release, BIM coordination and BIM management at the practitioner level, that are currently being rolled out in Germany and Austria. So that was sort of a whirlwind tour across professional certification. We have a huge amount of resources that are available. So for those who are not familiar with the program, then I encourage you to go to our website, the primary website, education.buildingsmart.org. We also have a website, COBECERT.buildingsmart.org. This is really sort of focused on the COBE curricula, so COBE Certified Professional and COBE Foundation. There's a huge amount of resources here, so I encourage you to check that out. We've got webinars and articles and lots of other information that's posted on the website. We also have a lot of guidance documents focused primarily for chapters, but also training providers and individuals on how they can use the different technologies. So there's a huge amount of work that's been developed. As I said, we had a very, very active last 12 months. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank once again everyone who's been involved, from buildingSMART International to all the chapter representatives, the steering committee, advisory panel, and of course all the training providers and volunteers in our working groups. So thank you very much. And if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to us.
Well, and thanks, Mark. I think it's our opportunity to thank you as well for your continued leadership of the program. It's been phenomenal, and yeah, we certainly enjoy the growth. And I think actually eight more people to be added from Morocco who've just been recently certified to your diagram. So you know, it's hard to keep track, but yeah, it's certainly a program that's been well used, and we have plenty of certifications as a result. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Aidan. Yes, I'm looking forward to the next 12 months.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Thanks for that update. Next up, we'd like to welcome Thomas Glaettli from the Swiss chapter. Thomas is going to be talking about the use case management service. So with that, Thomas, I think the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aidan. Good morning, everybody, from my side. Yeah, Okay, I'd like to give you a short update about the current status of the use case management service. So what is new from terms of members and content? What kind of new functionalities and features do we have on the platform? And to bring you all that on a very good, understandable level, I'd like to give you an overview about one of our use cases we just recently uploaded. And by the end, I give you a short outlook what is coming next. So maybe since our last presentation of the use case management, quite a lot happened. We have a lot of new members and users on the use case management platform. And especially I like to welcome the Benelux chapter from buildingSMART. Actually, they joined the use case management platform by end of last year, and they already started to upload quite a significant number of new publications and use cases. As already mentioned by Léon from Berlo, also the rooms are very active on the use case management platform. And I like here to mention the building room, the fire safety and engineering and occupant movement standards. So they started to upload 3 use cases. I like to show you how they look like. For example, here the evocation analysis. So it's already on the platform, and I think it's very good to see this use case, go through this use case and see what the platform can deliver. So you see a lot of very interesting information, detailed workflows, PPN workflows, and the exchange requirements here on the platform. But it's not only limited, of course, to buildingSMART. We also have some other very interesting projects on the platform. For example, the Horizon 2020 project, the BIM Speed project. Also, they started really to upload and publish their results on the use case management as well. Again, let's have a look on this one. So, for example, the lighting and visual comfort analysis is available on the platform. Also here, a very detailed use case, giving a very good impression about what the use case management can do and can deliver, even for projects which are not by buildingSMART, but by other organizations. So this is just to mention that it's really, the platform is open to all organizations which has use cases and which want to publish their results on the platform. Yeah, you see we have quite a significant number of registered users already. So about nearly 2,000 people are on the platform, using the platform, but also 400 people are using really the platform as project members, so that they really developed the content. And yeah, we have about 80 publications already on the platform. And what you see is the service is really gaining speed now. So we have in Q1 already 22 new publications on the platform. As already mentioned, now we are connected to the single sign-on of buildingSMART. So once you sign in to the use case management, you have access also to all other services from buildingSMART, which are enabled by the single sign-on. And I think this really enables you for easy login and easy use of the services here. I like to highlight some new features we have. This is actually not a brand new feature. We already have this since about 6 months on the platform. This is the new standard from European level, the building information modeling level of information need. So you can really create the processes according to standards. You see here the standard. In the middle, you see the co-creation space, how you can upload the content, and on the website, how it will look like. I'm going to show you this later on again. A new feature we have also that you can link basically to software vendors and service providers which supports this use case. So we have here a new section, software tools and services, because what we see now, more and more softwares and quality checkers and so on supports our use cases. So here we have a tool which enables you to link to the service in the future. And also something new is that we have the exchange requirement now directly implemented into the platform. So you can really go and look at this use case. They are embedded, the exchange requirements. You can upload them by a free link. So if you are interested in uploading your results on the platform, then please contact me and I can help you to give here even a better approach than just uploading a XML or a Excel file. Next, I'd like to present you a use case. It's called cleaning of glass facade. It's kind of a facility management use case. Here, it's about the ordering of AEM specification for cleaning of glass surfaces, window frames, and blinds. And this is really a use case which is now available in German and in English, and pretty soon we will also have a French version. I think this is something very important for you to give an impression or to have an impression what the use case management can do. So here I'm going to show you this use case on a live presentation. You see here we always have the core elements. This means you have a description of the use case with the illustration, and then a clearly step-by-step description of the use case with the objectives, limitations, references, and so on. And then you have here the overall process embedded as a BPMN diagram. And after that, you have the possibility actually here for the detailed description. So you see here every element here of the process has a description. So you put compile information, for example, and then you have here the exchange requirements. So the description of the non-technical parts, actually, which is done by the expert team here. And you see here, this is according to the LOEM. So meaning you have geometrical information, you have the alphanumerical information and so on, and you can also upload some documents. And you always see the exchanges between the initiator and the executor. So this is really a guided process, very easy to understand for the teams to develop this use case. So this is the whole description. We also have the design rules here. So if you have additional design rules, you can also have some attachments for the design rules. They could look like this. So that you have kind of a design rule, what is really needed, and what is needed here for the facade layer, for example. So everything can be uploaded and made available on the use case management. And then here, this is this new possibility actually for the exchange requirements, that you can really upload your exchange requirements in a file. And what you see here is this is the non-technical part actually from the project team, which is required from the IDM standard. And after that, we created the mapping to IFC with a special property set here for this use case. And this use case is then basically supported. I have to move up here. So here you see now this new tool, software, tools and services, where you see, for example, we have such kind of a model checker here implemented. This I'm going to show you in the next slide. So there is, for example, the from Singular, the qualifier will support now this use case. This is a short demonstration video how this could look like. So we have kind of different use cases on the platform already. So sorry, the content is in German, but we made some description here. so you can really check the results, download it by a BCF file, make your changes directly in the platform here, upload the new BCF to the authoring system. Very short upload, and then you get basically the new and corrected data, and you see here everything is now green, and this is corresponding to the exchange requirements. So I think it's very important that we have this these model checkers here, because then you have really the proof of the quality of your use case. But it's not only, sorry, go to the next one. It's not only about validation tools, but we have also here an application from facility management services, which is really supporting this use case, tendering, so you can do the planning and tendering of the glass facades in a tool, for example. And also here I'm going to show you a short video.
Hello everybody. The advantage of this use case is the model-based information delivery for facility management, for planning or tendering of cleaning services for glass facade. The goal is to capture all the necessary and quality checked information from this construction phase for handover to the facility management. Those information enables the creation of use case specific evaluations, such as the quantity extract of the room and windows, the quantity extract of the glass surface with the information on the window type, the quantity extract of the glass surface in the relation to the room types, and the window lists with detailed information. In addition, with Liebald, the information from the model is used for your operation and maintenance work. In this use case, you create the contracts with your service providers and monitor the cleaning activities. Everything is model-based. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Yep.
So this was the update about a use case, which is really finalized 100%. So you have the description of the use cases, you have the quality checks, and the application for the use case. So what will come next on the use case management? As Léon from Berlo already explained a little bit, we will focus this next development step now on the integration of IDS. So what it's intended to do is that we create a kind of an IDS editor in the use case management itself, with an API to the BSDD, so that you can basically upload the results, the PCERTs and the attributes to the or properties to specific UCM domain, so that it's available on the BSDD as well. And so you will have the connection between the use case management and the BSDD. But furthermore, what we will do, we will also try to implement some external clients, for example. So a full IDS client, for example, could upload and import the results. So if you don't do it in the use case management, but in an external service, for example, you could even upload it to the use case management, make it available, export it as an IDS, so that you have really a full exploration of the data. So this is one of our next step. We will really focus on that because we think and believe that this is very, very important and gives you really additional benefits to the use case management and, of course, to the buildingSMART data dictionary. And as an outlook, we are in the progress to even develop the use case management further to a next level. So we will offer kind of a marketplace for creators of use cases. So this is then really an open solution for additional creators. This is just a sneak preview here. Of course, the development will take some time, but I think it will be interesting to have even more possibilities for the community to create use cases, develop use cases, and make them available to the community. So that's basically everything from my side. Thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, just come back to me if you have any questions to the use case management.
Thank you, Thomas. Great updates and what great progress being made for the use case management service. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. With that, we'd like to welcome Anna Moreno to the stage. Hi, Anna.
Okay, good morning. I'm just trying to share my screen.
Just remarking, Anna, that it's a shame that we weren't in Rome at the moment to visit you. Sorry, and to have the summit. But
I hope next time, next year.
Yeah, well, okay. We're definitely still scheduled to be there, so we'll make it bigger and better than it would have been. So over to you, Anna.
Do you see my screen?
We do, yeah.
Okay. So I just a few slides to show what we have achieved in the last years. First of all, I would like to explain that we have a double soul. One is the professional association recognized by the Italian Ministry for Development, and our association is disseminating in Italy methods and professionalism of digitalization of the construction industry. And then since 2019, we are the Italian chapter, and we contribute to open BIM standard development. And we are really proud that in a little more than 2 years, we became full chapter. This is the number of members that you see how is increasing quite fast, and we have different members, what we call individuals, which is individual professionals, architects, engineers that join us, and then we have a collective, which means more industry or software house we will see later, and then main stakeholders that are engaged also in defining our strategies. These are right now what we call collective members. On the left, you see we have quite a few universities and also research centers. Then we have small and large enterprise, and we have quite a few software houses and also some what we call media partners in the building sector. So it's really a very nice learning community, and we are learning each other. How do we work? We use the buildingSMART system. So we participate in the rooms, and we identify the needs of our national stakeholders, mainly right now is rail companies and road companies, but we are reaching also other big stakeholders like power field. And so we have quite a few of our members involved in the buildingSMART working group, but also at a national working group. And after the process that all you know, we produce public available guidelines for our stakeholders and also for our members, and we disseminate and implement the guidelines through contracts to support national stakeholders. Our network is quite well distributed all over Italy. And as some of you may know, that we are also supporting the Morocco to open this new chapter. And so we open one territorial delegation in Morocco. I will explain a little more later. And we also have what we call provincial delegation, that they can be more autonomous and act as with the local stakeholder much better than we could do at the national level, just as we have the chapters in buildingSMART. And we have also the international stakeholder supporters. So you all know ACA software. And we have also Politecnico di Milano, Bosch, and Geodata. But we also are providing collaboration with other professional associations in Italy. So whichever we realize that someone of these other organizations are going into the direction of digitalization, we engage them in a memorandum of understanding. So now we have some collaboration with the blockchain in Italy, with the Archiving Document Association, with the Association of a local officer for digital permission, the KNX, I think you know, it's for the building automation. We have an association of lawyers of seismic energy, and also the National Electric Company, but also with other associations like Project Management Alliance, which is developed within European Commission, and a certification body, but even a social network of teachers. How are we organized? Through a general assembly, and this afternoon we have our annual general assembly, and with the National Council, which is elected by the Assembly. And we have our main stakeholders that help us to define the strategies within the 4 different programs. The programs are divided into events, standards, qualification, and European project. Why these programs and what they do? The events, we are involved into national conferences, and of course in the International PSI Summit for next year. And we promote awareness and engagement through our events. And then we have the standard program. We are getting the needs from our companies. We have already several national working group on railroad, bridge, energy efficiency. And with this activity, we publish the guidelines and the standards implementation. Then we have the qualification that we are involved, and we have 8 training providers accredited, with 363 qualified professionals. And we are also working in a European project for the recognition of competencies. And we have the public funded projects. For us, it's important because we can better exploit and do research activities. Right now, we have one active project, which is the one on recognition of competencies, but we also had a proposal for public administration training and a roadmap on energy performance and BIM at the national level. Our guidelines, I leave the presentation so you can look at all these guidelines. But it's important that to underline that we have some guidelines also on blockchain and on training, certification, qualification, because we understood there was a big confusion in this matter. So it was prepared, these guidelines. But we also have a guideline for modeling the alarm system, energy performance, and other. All the guidelines are available on our website, and some of them have been also translated into English. And last slide is to say that we are really glad that our support to the developing chapter proposed by My African Competition has been taken into consideration as a developing countries. But what we have done with them, first of all, we had open regional headquarters in Morocco at Rabat. And then we were invited to two workshops, one in Rabat, one in Agadir, to meet the main national stakeholders. And we have started through ACA, the individual qualification in French. And we participate to higher education that has been developed a master in sustainable development, and I am in the scientific committee. And then we try to involve them in a European funded project related to the Med area. So these are my contacts and Lorenzo contacts. You know very well Lorenzo. He has been really very active in many of the rooms, but especially for the rail room and for the certification room. Thank you for your attention.
Anna, thank you very much. And I know, just linking the two, that Lorenzo's also got his professional certification as part of our professional certification program. So it's really great when we know chapter leaders and people active also take the training and get certified. So yeah, what's going on in your chapter? And it was lovely to spend a bit of time with you as well a couple of weeks ago in Italy as we visited ACA's offices. So really, really nice to do so.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we seem to have got ourselves back on track. So thanks to all the speakers. Apologies once again to the technical challenges we had earlier. We had to quickly record Richard's presentation, upload it, and then play it. But somehow we've managed to land on time, which we do often endeavour to do. Just looking at the agenda for later on, we have a short break for 20 minutes, and then we'll be running a session called Bringing Open BIM Workflows to Life, which is being run by Léon van Berlo, and we'll have speakers from ACA and Carbon Cam, so Michelangelo Cianciulli from ACA and Carbon Cam from SBI. We have another session later on sustainability and standards. We'll then be hearing from the IFC 4.3 team plus other project teams. And then we'll be finishing off today with a session on digital twins as well as partnerships. So lots to do, but I would like to certainly give you everybody a short break, and we'll reconvene in just over 20 minutes time. So thank you all very much and speak to you all soon.